Hello, everybody, and welcome to Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we empower, inspire, and uplift women to be the goddesses they were meant to be. I'm your co-host, Julietta, also known as the Magical PT. I'm a physical therapist here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I have been a PT for over 30 years now, which is crazy to me. I must have been 12 when I graduated, but I have a very holistic alternative. I've even gone so far as to say my practice is totally woo-woo. So if you're looking for magic and woo-woo, come on over to me. If you're looking for traditional PT, hot packs, ultrasound, 3 sets of 10 exercises, go someplace else. That's not me at all. But if you want to have a lot of fun and get to the core of your issues, which may or may not be physical, I'm definitely the place to come to. And I am a Midwestern transplant. I moved down from Wisconsin in 1994. So I have definitely lived in Florida longer than I have lived anywhere else in my life. And every day when it's 90 degrees out there, I ask myself, why? Why do I live here? But it's all good. It's all good. And I'm in the middle of making a bigger launch of my creative side because I do malas and pendants made from crystals and gemstones. And I also paint a little bit. So stay tuned for a website soon that will sell those objects to you.
I love that. That's
And
awesome.
you're my co-host. Tell us about you.
My name is Allison Mancini, and I'm also a Midwest transplant and live in Florida. And sadly, I'm stuck in South Florida because of a family business of my husband. So we are not going anywhere. So funny, when we moved down here 28 years ago, we were like, yeah, we'll just go down for like 5 years and then we'll go back to Michigan. Here I am, raised 2 kids down here and still living here. So I have 2 adult children, a 25-year-old. I was just thinking about, he's going to be 26 soon. I'm like, oh, it makes me feel old. And a 22-year-old who will be 23 next month. And I am Human Resources and Operations Director for a company called The Gold Digger Girl. And we are a company that helps women scale up their business, help them show up online authentically, and just give them the systems that they need to get to where they want to go. I also am a functional nutritionist. So I love that I get to support our staff from the functional, holistic, healthy side. And I also get to support everybody from an admin side, along with supporting our students with their nutrition. So it's very exciting. I'm also a dog mom. I have 2 dogs that you might be able to hear chewing on bones in the background, and I apologize for that. And I think that kind of covers it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So who's our sponsor?
Yeah, we have a sponsor for the month of June. I'm excited to introduce our audience to High Vibrations Energy Healing. Is owned by Rebecca Schaefer. It offers Reiki meditation and Kundalini yoga to heal emotional and physical pain and bring one into alignment with their true self. Reiki and Kundalini yoga is a powerful combination that can be used to heal subconscious patterns, strengthen the nervous system, activate the neutral mind, and bring one to higher levels of consciousness. You can visit highvibrationsnow.com to learn more. You can book a Reiki session, participate in a cosmic Kundalini and Reiki healing circle, or register for an upcoming yoga class. And you have done one of the Reiki circles, right?
I've done a Reiki circle with her, and I've also had just a individual Reiki healing with her. And just so our audience knows, yes, Rebecca is down here in Southeast Florida with us, but she does Reiki sessions, energy travels. I've done distant energy sessions on people myself, and I have had Reiki with her. So you don't have to be here in Southeast Florida to experience her work. She actually says she really loves doing the distance sessions, and they almost feel more powerful than an in-person energy session. So this woman is super talented and gifted. And so if you're thinking about having some energy work done, definitely reach out to her.
That's cool.
So we were chit-chatting a little bit. We've read Get Rich Lucky Bitch as part of our book club in our Circle of Goddesses group, and it's also part of our money mastermind that we're doing with Denise Duffield Thomas. And I love her, her concept of upgrading your life and doing incremental upgrades everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, have you done any upgrades in your life recently?
So that's interesting. When you brought that subject up, I was like, yes, let's talk about that. Because I was actually really excited because the other day, like a month ago, I had to, I'm going to Austin for work in July, the end of July, and I was booking my flight on Southwest. And if you've ever flown Southwest, you know that unless you pay extra, that you have to like check in 24 hours before. And the more like, you got to do it right at 24 hours. So you get like the best spot in line, right, to get your seat. But they have that option where you can upgrade and pay $50 more to basically be in the A section. So you're in the beginning of the line. And I was sitting there and I'm getting my ticket and I'm looking at it and I'm like, yes, I am going to upgrade this time. And I went ahead and I paid for it. So I'm very excited. I don't have to worry if I don't check in exactly at 24 hours ahead of time. I got my spot. So
that's awesome. And I was going to talk about something else, but since you brought that up, twice now recently, I have flown with my favorite airline, everybody's favorite airline, Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
The crazy thing is, okay, so my boyfriend he does not fly coach or
he's
economy.
A flight snob. He's an airline snob.
Let's be real. Snob. He's a plane snob.
There you go.
But we're not in the space of our relationship where he's just going to pay for my first class tickets.
Right.
But so anyway, twice in recent times, once flying to Wisconsin and once flying to Atlanta, we chose to fly Spirit. And partly why we chose, besides the fact that they were cheap, part of the reason to Wisconsin was they were the only ones that had a direct flight from down here to there. So that was wonderful. Mm-hmm. But also for $50, you can upgrade to the big seats, which are essentially first class seats.
Right.
So I'm like, it's this crazy little thing, and you're dealing with all the other Spirit things. Although talking to everybody, I feel like every airline right now has issues and whatnot. But yeah, upgrading to the big comfy seats was like, yeah, this is nice. I deserve it.
And in the past, I would have been like, no, you don't need to spend the money. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, I'm worth this. I'm doing this. Like, I'm listening to Denise Duffield Thomas. I am upgrading myself.
Well, in the other area in my life where I just did like a little stupid upgrade, but it's definitely made a big difference. I live in an old house and the AC is an issue. In the summertime, it just is not cool enough. And getting a new AC system is definitely not in my budget right now. Like, that's an upgrade that I can't afford. But last week, I did this simple upgrade. I bought a better fan for the bedroom. I'm like, it's a stupid little thing, but it has massively improved the quality of my sleep. So
yeah, because you got to be in a cold room to sleep.
Well, the room ain't cold, but at least I'm not like dripping in sweat.
That's important.
Yes, but the thing is, like, I love how it doesn't matter where you're at, and an upgrade doesn't have to be something super expensive. And sometimes upgrades can even be free, but it's just looking at life and being like, where can I upgrade my life? Because when you upgrade your life, you're sending signals to the universe that you want a first class life, and you're moving in that direction. Yeah, so I invite our audience to comment. What upgrade are you going to create in your life this week? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, we need to bring our guests on.
We do need to bring our guest on.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to the show, LaQuita. We're excited you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
So
Can
go
you
ahead.
please-
Yeah. See, Juliana and I are both going to do it. Introduce yourself to our audience. Tell them a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, okay, great. So as you guys said, my name is LaQuita Monley, and I am a Maxwell Leadership Certified Speaker, Coach, Trainer, and Facilitator, as well as podcast host and Amazon bestselling author. But those are just things I do, right? They bring in a few dollars here and there. But what I like to tell people that are the most important aspects of who I am are my positions as a proud Army wife. My husband is retired now, praise God. And I am a mother of 5 adult children and grandmother of 6. And those 3 positions right there lay the foundation of who I am. And they also, what I believe, allow me to be great at doing other things that I do as a speaker and a coach and author. They've laid a great foundation in my life. And yeah, that's a little bit just about who I am and what I do, like in a small nutshell. I don't think we have enough episodes to talk about everything else because I got 5 kids, y'all. It's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that is. That's incredible. Like, kudos to you, man, because I have 2 kids and I didn't want 5.
Funny thing is, I didn't want 1, but life happened. Like, I met
when I first got married, my husband really wanted to have kids like right away. And I was like, no, we're going to wait a few years. And I kept trying to like push it off. And then I finally was like, all right. I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, how quick will this really happen? Like most people, it takes a while, right? No, didn't take a while at all. Happened right away. I was like, all right, well, there goes that theory. I'm like,
just out the door. And that was when I tell people that, what do you mean you didn't want it? You got 5. Well, see, the thing is, I didn't want the children. That didn't mean I didn't want to do what it takes to get the children. It's not playing. It just happened. And, because it happened, you deal with it as you go along.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. You figure it out, right?
You figure it out. It out. Yeah.
Well, let's dive into our questions. So our first question for you, LaQuita, is what is one book you wish every goddess would read? And how has that book impacted you in a deep and meaningful way?
So I've been pondering that question because it's so many that I would love to share. And of course, because I am an author, should I do my shameless plug for my book? So,
your book will be in the show notes, so everybody will be able to see that and access it if they want.
Cool. So I would have to say, honestly, I had to try to. One of my favorite authors, her name is Valerie Burton, and I'll go with today's show. I'll say her book, Brave Enough to Succeed. It was a toss-up between Brave Enough to Succeed and It's About Time. And in Brave Enough to Succeed, that book really caused me to begin to reevaluate who I am and what I believe that I've been placed on this earth to do. And also know that you are empowered to do it. No matter where you are at in your life, when you pick up that book and begin to flip through those pages, you're powerful, you're wonderful, you can do it. And it caused me to address some limiting beliefs in my life. And I won't say for the first time, because I discovered Valerie just a couple of years ago. So at that point, I thought I was like, oh, I'm rocking and rolling. I'm good. And it caused me to do one of those, oh, no, you're good, but you're not great. Let's take a look at this thing. So I would say Brave Enough to Succeed is definitely something that we as women should have in our library.
I'm definitely going to check that out. I don't know. I'm like, this sounds like a book. I'm like, how has this escaped my radar so far?
I feel like I've heard of her before. When you said her name, I'm like, why does she sound familiar? So I gotta look into that.
Yeah, she's been on probably every major to do, whether it's the Today Show, Good Morning America.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, her name's really familiar.
Yeah,
We're going to check that out.
she's been in the coaching industry since the late 90s, early
Wow.
2000s. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So our next question for you is, being a coach as you are, I'm sure you have some awesome self-care practices, but what would you say is your top self-care practice and how does it support you in what you do?
My top self-care practice is my quality time that I have with myself at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. And it is non-negotiable. And it supports me because it allows me to start my day off in a good way. And at the end of the day, it allows me to decompress, unwind, release whatever I need to release, and get a good night's sleep so that I can get up and have another successful day on the next day. So for me, I love manicures, pedicures, massages, and all of that. But the longer I'm allowed to draw breath, I realize that self-care should be a part of my everyday routine. Like, it shouldn't just be like one or off things that I do every now and then, right? It should be interwoven into every aspect of my life.
So your kids are older now.
Yes.
But did you do this when your kids were younger? And like, how did you manage that?
I did not do it when they were younger. So, when the kids were younger, I was on autopilot. Mm-hmm. You were just, my husband was active duty Army. And so between the moving, I'm pregnant, how did that happen? Never mind, I can't deal with that now. I gotta, because my kids are stair steps. They're 27, 26, 25, 23, and 20. So it was.
Yeah, you were having babies like right one after another. Holy cow.
One right after the other. And it was like, okay, self-care, do something. Are you crazy? Me and my husband would have arguments over how did I leave and go to the store to buy me an outfit, and I came back with 15 bags of clothes for the kids and shoes. I didn't know what self-care was. And he's looking like, but you're supposed to buy yourself something. And I'm like, but I couldn't pass out that section and not get it because, they're growing and they're going to need this for later. Mm-hmm. So it was something that I learned. And unfortunately, it came through coming out of a very dark depression. So, and through that, the work that I did with my therapist at the time, and then the inner work that I did from a spiritual aspect. I am a Christian, but for years I had not been a practicing Christian. And so coming back into practicing my faith mixed with the mental health care that I was receiving, that point was emphasized to me over and over and over again, the necessities of taking care of me so that I can then be better equipped to take care of the people I love.
Absolutely. And that's it. I think it's definitely a woman thing that we all want to care for others. And absolutely, the only way to do it is if we care for ourselves first, because as Allison loves to say, we got to put our oxygen mask on first. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to be there to support those who we want to support.
Yes. And I think, unfortunately, the way that our society, our global community is, as it relates to, how, and it's not like somebody puts us in a training camp and said, women do this, 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 and this. Mm-hmm. It just happens to where we think that self-care is selfish, and that as a good mom, as a good wife, as a good sister, a good auntie, a good daughter, I put myself last and I put everybody else first. And when that couldn't be further from the truth, like that lie and truth are on opposite ends of the spectrum. So it had to start with a lot of mental reprogramming on my part. I had to really change the way that I think about a lot of things in order to believe that self-care was not selfish.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why this question is on this show. So
Yep.
get more women to know that it is not selfish to take care of yourself first.
It is not. It is not. It is
It's not selfish.
absolutely
It's
necessary.
necessary. And yeah.
I find that so many women get to that breaking point, like, because that's what happened to me too. I got really sick. I was very stressed, raising only 2 kids. It was 2. One had some major health issues, so that made it feel like it was about 4 kids. But it was a lot, and I didn't take care of me at all because I was worried about taking care of my husband and the kids and the house and this and that and doctor's appointments and all that stuff. And it really was getting to that breaking point when I realized I have to take care of me. Like I literally was like ill, like physically ill. And and then I really couldn't take care of anybody because I got to that point. What I think is, I would love to see is like you made that comment about women aren't given any of that quote unquote training or that whatever knowledge, whatever. I wish we would teach our young women, like, you in the very beginning, this is so critical to your, like, I know a couple young women that work in our company, and I love mentoring them because I love that they're learning this stuff when I wish I would have, right?
Yes,
I would have known this in my early 20s so that I was doing it all along. Like we have 2 young girls, they're both 23, and they do self-care. They take care of themselves. They are very good about that stuff. They journal and they meditate and they read and all these things that I think so many times, so many young women don't do that. So, and men too. My son does the same thing. I mean, he figured it out too later on. Like you need to journal, you got to read, you got to do some meditation, all those things. So it is really important.
It's as I begin to accept it and practice self-care more, and just really understanding a lot of aspects of the importance of identity. That's another reason that I believe a lot of individuals don't practice proper self-care, is because they don't know who they are. So they're overextending and overdoing because they have a need for validation for someone else to say, okay, great job, kudos, you did this and you did. They need that recognition, and not in it doesn't come from a good space. So they can't take care of themselves, or don't refuse to see the need for it, because they have voids in other areas of their life. And so the more that I begin to learn those different things about myself, and different people that are also within my sphere of influence, the people, you tend to hang around people who are kind of like you, and people who challenge who you are or challenge the negative aspects of who you are, you tend to kind of distance yourselves from them. And so when I noticed that, there had to be lots of changes in different areas of my life. And as I got to a healthy space, out of all the kids, I only have 1 daughter, 4 boys and 1 girl. And I said to myself, okay, this is something that Denise won't have to go through. Like, here's Mama Bear. She will not deal with this in her life if I can help it. And so I as a young teenager, I began to just, take her and show her, okay, this is your value. This is your worth. What are you thinking? What do you want to do? Don't be afraid to, express yourself. Of course, as mom and daughter, there's a level of respect that goes there, but, voice your opinion, vocalize your thought pattern. I'm sorry, Siri thinks I'm talking to her, and I am not.
No, I have the other one, and I can't even say her name right now, because if I do, she'll start talking to me. So.
It is on my watch. I'm like, I'm turning the phones away because I didn't want, and yeah. So I'm sorry.
All good. That, this show is all about imperfect perfection.
Yeah, but I love what you said, Allison, just to be able to position yourself to mentor young girls so that they don't have to fight the battles that we have fought. Of course, can't keep things from happening. Life is going to happen, but help them to be better equipped. So that was an absolute, for me, a fun time when my daughter was middle school, high school, where, they're at that age where they're allowing you to be involved to a degree with their friend groups and different activities. And so Now, as she's in her early to mid 20s and she's going through some things in life, our conversations get to be different. And it's a joy for me to see that she's not allowing, whether it's her job or her partner or anything like that, to beat her into a space where she's not taking care of herself. She's not putting herself first. So like, she is strongly independent, and her mom loves that.
Good job, Mom. All right, we got to move on to our next question. We all have days where it's just difficult to show up and we'd rather just stay in bed with the covers over our head. But many of those days we get up and get things done. So what tools do you use to rise up and get through one of those days?
So great question. And you've actually answered that in some of the other conversations that we've had. My daily routine consists of me, getting up early, and it is my morning meditation that I listen to. I have this cool podcast that I love to listen to called The Daily Still, and it is helps me center myself. And in doing that and journaling, it helps me to say, okay, get yourself like literally off the edge of the bed and let's go start this day, because this is an amazing day. And I'll quote to myself, on those really hard days, like, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let me rejoice and be glad in it. I'm more than a conqueror. In this day, I'm going to conquer the things that I need to conquer. It's internally what I believe. I have to tap into internally what I believe. And I do that through the music I listen to, meditation. And so here's my thing with affirmation. Affirmations don't work if you don't believe it. So I have to say the things that I know in my heart that I believe right now. The other stuff that I'm trying to work my way to, never mind that. But the things in my heart that I know I believe right now, those are the things that I have to speak to myself.
Now, you mentioned music, and when you said, I was kind of thinking, I don't think anybody has mentioned that before, and I think it's such a powerful tool. And there's there's times when just turning on the right song completely shifts your energy and gets you moving forward.
Doesn't it? Yes.
So I'm like, I'm kind of going, I can't believe that hasn't really come up before. But yes, excellent. Our last question is, and yes, everything that happens to us shapes and forms who we are in life. But there's usually some standout events in our life that really play a big role in forming who we are. So what is a life experience that you've had that has greatly shaped who you are today?
That's a great question. And you guys are like the third person to ask me that. So I need to talk about that more. Got to be like, that's got to be a signal that I need to talk about that more. So it would be actually to two events connected. The day that I found out that I was a teenage mom, and the day that I decided that I was going to keep my baby. In those moments, it did not feel like a great decision. It felt like I had just put a nail in the coffin of my future. Now, sitting on this side of life, I know that those events, though it wasn't the ideal situation, without those being the catalyst to me making some other decisions along the way, I would not be where I am today. So yeah, the day that I found out that I was pregnant, and the day that I decided that I wasn't going to have an abortion, and then I wasn't going to give my child up for adoption, those were the two options that I had on the table, because where my husband and I were at that time in our life, I'd already had college decisions made. And so my sister-in-law had graciously offered to adopt my son so that we can continue on and achieve the goals that we wanted to achieve. And it was great, but it wasn't what I wanted. It sounded good, but where I was at that time, it's like, if I'm going to go through all this, I can't be your auntie. That's not the decision that I want to make. So I made the decision to be a young mom, and which later became a young wife, and yeah, a whole lot of history. And here I am now, 30 plus years later, and life has been good.
Yeah. And that's so often things happen in our life that we think like this is the worst possible thing that can happen. Like you said, I forget your exact words, but you were like, this is like the death to my future.
Yeah, it was like I felt like the last nail had been nailed into the coffin, and they were just about to put me 10 feet under in that moment. Because a lot of times we look at failures or mistakes are final and fatal, and that's how I felt in that moment. It's like, oh well, won't be going to college, definitely won't be going. And because I was an athlete, won't be running track. There's no Junior Olympics here. No basketball in my future. At that time, there was no WNBA, so it was looking at playing in European leagues. None of that won't happen because your decision made you have a kid. So here we go. I'll be watching my friends do this. And funny enough, because of my husband's career, I didn't get to play like professional in a European league, but I did play in a women's league in Europe because I had the opportunity to live in Europe. So if the ladies are watching, whatever mistake that you are living through, you're going to overcome it. It's not fatal. It's not final. And to be honest, keep living and you'll probably get a do-over. It's like the flights and the missing connection. If you miss your original connection, you wait there long enough, you'll get another flight and you're going to make it to your destination. And that's kind of how I lead my clients. Like, this isn't over. Another connector will come through. You just be prepared and get on that connection, and you'll still be able to accomplish the things you want to accomplish.
I love that analogy, and lots of talk about flights and Anyway, so if there was one thing that you would want our audience to take away from the show today, what would that be?
It would be that if you know exactly who you are and what it is you've been purposed in this life to do, pursue that purpose with a passion, no matter what happens, no matter what life throws your way. Pursue your purpose with a passion.
Beautiful. Yes. I do know that there's a lot of people out there struggling to figure out what their purpose is. But
yeah,
once you got it, you got to go with it.
Yeah. And if I would to the people who are struggling, I would say this: give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. We're living in a time where those are all hot button topics, and that you can't turn on the TV, whether it's traditional cable or streaming cable, where somebody isn't talking about, know who you are, your purpose, your, this, that, or they're talking about different aspects as it relates to identity, because it's fun, it's cool, it's sexy right now. But the truth of the matter is, it's hard work to get there. So give yourself grace. Nobody woke up today, I figured out, I don't know who I am. In 2 weeks from now, I got it and I'm rocking and rolling. Don't believe the hype on social. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Give yourself grace. And it's something that it's a process. And as you walk through that process, you're going to unlearn so many different things that no longer serve you. And you're going to learn new things that do serve you, that will get you closer to understanding who you are and what your purpose in this earth to do. Enjoy the journey and give yourself grace.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, I'm having trouble speaking this morning. Beautiful message. And thank you so much for joining us here this morning, LaQuita. I know you had to get up extra early to be on the show with us today. We appreciate that. We appreciate you. And also want to send a thank you out to our sponsor, Rebecca Schaefer, High Vibrations Energy Healing. And thank you to our audience for listening, because without you, what's the purpose of us being here yapping all morning? So If you'd like to get in touch with LaQuita, Allison, or myself, check out the show notes. All our contact information, social media, websites, et cetera, are all in the show notes, and you can find us there. And with that, I want to wish everybody a magical day.